I'm not one of the mayor's favorites, and the feeling is quite mutual because people are still living in these conditions, and it's more than 20 years after our democracy, and the situation in informal settlements is not really improving.
To live in this condition, you need to see the brighter side of life, because you don't want to live for always like this. You want to be in some place where it's much better than this. Just to see the light, to breathe fresh air in the morning, for me, that is the best thing that can ever happen to you, because you can still walk, you can still see. And if that wasn't there, then I could complain much more, but at least I got something.
Going! This is where they shot that other driver of ours. So this is his Christ here for just remembrance.
This is not the first taxi war we have here. It's like the third one. And about 8 or 9 people died in like a week's time.
I think the colored people were left behind after apartheid because, you know, where jobs are concerned and things. We were definitely being discriminated against, especially where the development of the communities was also concerned. If you go to black areas to see all the NGOs and non-government organizations are getting money from the government to uplift the community. And if you go into Lavendale, there's only a handful.
Cape Town, the second largest city in South Africa and the capital of the Western Cape province. 20 years after apartheid, it is still one of the most unequal cities in the world.
Our community has a very interesting name, Lavender Hill. Lavender represents peace, it represents tranquility, although the behavior of people in this community is quite the opposite to what Lavender Hill represents.
It's like we living here, there's gunshots all over the show. This morning at about past 4 there was gunshots, and I was awake, I couldn't sleep. There was chasing. I don't know if it's the police that's chasing the gang or the gang is chasing each other. So at all times, you need to be alert.
It goes from here right through. Like the aisle, this is the aisle. And it's the only one here. And this here where the shooting starts. We normally, then it's crossfire shooting, you know. And that's the time then we must just fall to the floor. So I feel I live in the more danger side of this area.
All these years when I grew up, it was better to grow up under the white regime than it's now under the ANC regime. It's way different now, man. Because in that time there was work, there was education, there was enough of everything. There was school books free. We're not animals, we're not dogs, or we're not horses. That is what the government is now thinking about the colored people now.
You know, when we had apartheid back in the day, they have this belief there were only blacks in the apartheid. They were never brown people, they were never the Hottentots, you know, the Khoisan. They were the people who were here in Cape Town first. But now obviously the blacks claim this is their country, this is their life. And they claiming land and stuff like that, as if we were never in apartheid with them. You know, so what is happening now, there's still apartheid and racism. But now, obviously, the whites is basically out of it. It's between black and colored now. That is the race that we have.
The wealthier Cape Town residents live close to the city centre, whereas the poor mostly live in the Cape Flats, an expansive area situated to the southeast of Cape Town. This segregation by income is paralleled with racial segregation. It is mostly the coloureds and black Africans that live in the Cape Flats. But Cape Town wasn't always like this. Prior to the 3 decades of white rule, it used to be a fairly united city, with people of many different backgrounds living at its very core.
Oh, it was nice living in District 6. Very, very nice. When I was small, and it was white, black and brown together. That time the boys wasn't so rude like now. They don't pull the girls and like that. Like now they pull the girls in every corner, they can just have the girls. But that time no. We had a lot of respect for our elders. We never smoked in front of them, and I never swear before them like that. We were brought up very nicely. Always peacefully. No trouble in District 6. On the corner of Junction Road. I had a car there. Was standing there, me and another man, and we shout. Bananas 10 for a bob, grapes, peaches and apples, like that.
We were all born there in the house there in Espling Street. We were near the city itself. We walked down to the gardens, so everything was close by. We were near the beaches there at the Sea Point. My father used to take us to Sea Point. It was a very close community in District 6. Everyone knew each other and everyone was there for each other, irrespective of religion. And then when we had to move, it really got to my grandmother. Because she was born in that house and she was like 50 years old, she didn't want to move. She really cried to think, where is she going to?
When the lorries came and put the people's stuff on it, the people cried. All the people cried. When they move from this way, they take the people out of District 6. They give the people, you number 1, you number 3, you number 30, you number that. They moved us to here with their lorries. We didn't have lorries. Their lorries moved us here. But I tell you, it wasn't nice. And when we came here, it was only sand. If you open your mouth and the wind is blowing like this and you open your mouth, you better close your mouth. It was just sand, sand, sand.
When we came out to see where we are going to live, we realized, wow, this is far. How are we going to travel? We've never traveled.
And my friends is all from there. It was not nice to see them move. I cried with a lot of all the people. I cried with them. Since I know I have stayed there in District 6.
It was sad for us to move because I've lost contact with my friends and family was scattered. Where everyone used to be in town, everyone lived in town. My family was scattered because they moved to different areas, and my grandmother and I, and my mother and father and our children, we moved here to Lavendale. We had our own house. Here you had to move in a flat. People on top of you, people at the bottom of you. You don't know the people, much of the people, okay, because they moved from different areas, they moved in there. So it caused a lot of heartache. And most of these courts here, these duplexes, are named after District 6. We look at Espling Court, We stayed in Esping Street in District 6. So all these areas were, or these places were built because of the people had moved from District 6.
The fabric of family life of millions of my people has been shattered. Millions are homeless and unemployed. Our economy lies in ruins. Negotiations on the dismantling of apartheid will have to address the overwhelming demands of our people for a democratic, non-racial and unitary South Africa. Today, the majority of South Africans, black and white, recognize that apartheid has no future.
Was a good man. I think if we were younger, then this place would have been no drugs and like that. He was a good man. He's not just for the blacks, he's for the whites, for the coloreds, he's for everyone. I don't know if Zuma is for everyone, I really don't know.
Compared to South Africa, the Western Cape province differs radically in terms of its population. While around Cape Town the Collards are a majority, they are a minority on the national level. This over-proportional share which the Collard community holds in the Western Cape province can be explained by Cape Town's colonization through the Dutch in the 17th century. A fairly high amount of slaves from other parts of Africa and Asia were brought to Cape Town. Over time, the Dutch settlers would blend with the indigenous people and the slaves. As a result, the Coloured community was born. The African National Congress, the governing party with its president Jacob Zuma, is the favoured party of the black Africans. In the Cape Province, however, the oppositional Democratic Alliance is the ruling party. According to township residents, this means that the coloured community has to deal with a lot of ANC-created policies that don't take the fairly different demographic characteristics of the Western Cape province into account.
After apartheid, because the Western Cape is DA controlled, I think the ANC is discriminating against the coloured people. I think the coloured people were left behind after apartheid because, you know, where jobs are concerned and things. I think they are also being classified as coloured, so if a job advertises, I think it should just go to a coloured or a black person. They shouldn't, you know, discriminate between a coloured and a black, you know. And what they are using is that you must be language barriers. You must be able, if they advertise a job, they say no, you must be able to speak Xhosa. So that obviously it says as a black person that's going to get the job.
It's been 20 years now. There's no more time to talk.
Even though we can lift out and raise our voices, it's not going to count much. Because even with the new political parties that just started with the past elections, people try to make a dent, to make them aware that we're sick and tired of the things that is going on, the corruption. Because if we're going to say it's okay, stay with the old parties and just do things as usual, then nothing will change really in South Africa. In this community, there's 5 informal settlements and it's really tough.
The constitution of our country says that each person should have a house. We have people living in the informal settlement that's been living there for more than 15 years, waiting on a house. The conditions that people live in, some of them, it's inhumane. Living in conditions in a corrugated iron and wood structure, which during the summer, it is a fire hazard because if one shack catches the light, everything else burns down. And in winter, with the heavy rains and storms that we have, they are always flooding and leaking.
there's heavy rain or even light rain, it's leaking all over the show. So on the roof the water's coming in, even though there's a sail on the roof, but the water's still coming in because I cover the whole sheet on top with a sail and it's still leaking. And when it out from the side it's also wet, so the floor gets wet in front of the bed and the end of the bed is getting wet. So when baby's sleeping here, then we have to move it in the night time because of the water.
According to the statistics, around 20% of the population live in informal settlements, where they house in shacks such as corrugated iron wood structures. While throughout South Africa and also around Johannesburg, fewer and fewer people are living in slums, these settlements are actually growing in the Cape Town area.
I've been here from the beginning. I was the third man and this was bush here. No lights, no nothing. It was rough. They steal.
There's a lot of people that don't have homes to stay, and yeah, I was one of them. Live at the backyard, and we have to pay a lot of money. So that day I saw the places came up, the shacks came up, and I think, you know, here's a good shot for me also to come put a place on here, because it was an empty place, it was like bushes and stuff like that, and yeah, and we came in and invade this land, and we come to put our places up here.
This is where I stay. This is my alarm system, you see. Scare sometimes, you have to scare the gangsters away. This is my place. I like everything, it's not so, I didn't tidy up, but you can see I like it clean and neat because I'm a person, I'm a human being. I even have a nice garden here, which I made with my own hands, so that the children how to respect the trees and why is the trees there, why do we need trees and stuff, because our society is very, we negative. If the society can be like my garden, I would be very happy. If the people can see, maybe they can be like the garden. I'm so busy with it. And my house inside is leaking. It doesn't look so nice. You see, I love here with my two kids and my wife, but she's now there at the mother's house. Come in. It's a little bit dark, but I only have one light. And this is my guitar I also made. See, this is my guitar. Myself. I will show you now. I made this myself. Sorry for this, but we love like this, man. When the music play, I can play along with it.
I still have hope. Every day when I get up, I say, God, just take me out of the situation and give me the strength to just be a firm mother, strong mother, to help my kids to see the light. Because one day I might not be here, but they will always remember and follow my footprints that I left on this piece of land. And the struggles that I made through with them, I hope and pray to God that they will always remember it, and that must give them the strength of life. Because for anybody, it's not nice to live like this.
Then it's unfair to the children. They say the children is the future generation, but look all the abuse to the children, all the, yeah. You know, every day you open up the newspaper, a child is killed, a child is killed, a girl is raped, a woman is raped. Under the white regime, there was nothing like that, nothing like that.
I don't think you can compare a police state to a democratic society and then try and draw a comparison between the one and the other. I think that's very unfair. I think, yes, there are, as a community, we've got a lot of rights now. And yes, some of the responsibilities that go with the rights are not followed. It is true that under the Constitution we're all equal, we're all protected. Even the guy who's suspected to be a gangster is protected under the Constitution, and therefore we have to impose the law accordingly. But to draw that conclusion that you feel more threatened now, I think maybe the threat is just different. It's not the same. Whereas before you feared the state, now you maybe fear the gangster.
I'm living on the main road, and I can't make a fence or nothing, because of if fires occur, the fire brigade must be able to come through here, and you see, so I can't make a fence, and I must not just tolerate the shooting and fighting and robbing, because they don't care who they rob. They really don't care who they rob. They rob any person. That's just the gangsters doing it. The junkie bunkies. Like, this is now their territory. And everyone must now be scared of them. No one can say nothing because of being scared of them, because just now they hurt a person or so. You must not just keep your mouth and overlook everything.
How big of an issue is this here in Military Haze? Do you have problems with gangsters?
Of course, yes.
Don't you feel comfortable?
No,
not really.
It's always yeah. Like for instance, there was also a place that I was living. It's almost like a shack that they do their own things, and it's a little bit scary sometimes.
30 years ago, we also had gang violence, but children were able to play, and children and women were safe, and we were able to play outside very late. And the drugs that time that people used to smoke was mandrax and ganja, taha, or marijuana. But if we look at it 30 years later, we have really, the community has really gone down. We have harder core drugs. We have more gangs. We have youth that are dropping out of school. Children running around with guns from the ages of 10 to 12 years old.
We also have some learners here, youngsters already, who's involved in drugs, and parents are doing it in most cases. Our learners think that is the life that they must live in, because if my mother and father is doing it or selling it, and it's also an income for certain parents because there's nothing else to do. And what they do at the end of the day, they get the kids involved. Show them how to use guns, how to be involved with the gangs, and how to sell these drugs. There's not always money or food in the houses, so what happened is these gangsters are their role models.
Now, use like facilities for the kids to play to, but at the end of the day, we end up doing drugs, gangsterism. The gangsters, they have money, they have power, and I'm poor. And I also like some money and like beautiful clothes, and so I joined the gangs, and then I went to prison. I was in jail for 23 years. Got 2 knives and a big bag of money, which means give me the money, otherwise I kill you with my knives. Now, is that a lifestyle? Shooting your own brother from the same community. We colors now, we are so small, a little bit of people, but we kill each other. Then what we think? We think we're dead guys. It's not right what we do to each other. We're fighting among each other for no reason.
They don't shoot at the people. They don't shoot at the community. They shoot amongst one another. But now, you come past, and they didn't mean to shoot you. But the guy that they wanted to shoot just ran past you. Now you get the bullet. You sit in the taxi, they come and they shoot, and you are one of the people that they shoot.
This is not the first taxi war we have here. It's like the third one. Mostly the third one now, because in Westlake there was one. Capricorn, it was 2 now recently. And about 8 or 9 people died in like a week's time. There's a lot of people that died, yes. And I mean a lot of people died unnecessary. There's a lot of innocent people also that died. And because this is a multi-million rand industry, it's big money we're talking about. So everybody wants a piece of the pie.
We are in a very horrible situation at the moment with the taxi violence. The taxi violence originated as a result of permits. The Retreat Taxi Association feels that the Vrygrond Taxi Association is illegal because they drive in areas where they're not permitted to drive.
Most of them don't even live in this area. But now they want to cause chaos in our community. Because at the end of the day, and once everything is started, then they go away to their places. And like now for this past 2 weeks, you find there's no violence. So then it will seem to the people that there isn't any problem. But there is a problem. You know, but they're just moving it from here to there and they move around.
Most of the taxis are owned by gangs, by big gang merchants and so on. So you will have that problem. And someone from another gang come in your territory or using your line like the taxis, they're all going to hurt each other in a way that we do not want.
This is where they shot that other driver of ours. So this is his Christ here for just remembrance. Yeah. 2 weeks ago, yeah. You know, they posted as passengers and tried to got into the taxi and then that is how he got shot.
We as gangsters, we tried to help Steamboat in the retreat station. You see, they didn't want to do the violence part. You see, so we thought we're gonna do it with them because they are guys that always help us also. What the? Maybe it's a rand or 2 rand, it's something. You see, because they also have a house, they also have responsibilities. You see, they must also take the money home. So we help them with this illegal van to protect us. We smashed the vans. We tried to hurt the drivers or kill the drivers. See? So at the end of the day, we just want the best for the team.
The police must just do their work. But they don't do their work because they also mingled with the gangsters. And gangsterism will never end. It will never end because that's as I say, the government need to put a stop to these things. It's things that we see every day. It's things that has been written in our newspapers and things every day. You will see it every day.
What is happening at the moment, if they found someone driving an illegal vehicle, they impound it, right? So then what happens is, if they impound your vehicle, you will then have to go to the magistrate's court, where you will have to pay maybe a fine of 5,000 rand. But now my solution to that problem is, obviously the driver is illegal in the first place. Right now you're giving him a fine of 5,000 rand. That's not a problem. Money is not a problem for them to give it. Why don't you take that illegal vehicle and then you just crush it? But now obviously the government and the system, they won't do that because it's a money-making business. If they impound your vehicle, you pay the fine, the government makes money.
I think it's the government that has to come together. They have to sit and say, look here, we need to take this up and say, look here, although it is making food for this person's household and stuff, we need to look at it in a positive note to say, look here, that we need to change the law. There has to be stricter rules and stricter fines that we need to look at.
Year before last, this was the only time when it was starting to become so bad. Then they sent out the army to patrol here. But they didn't even do anything because they were only here for a short while and then everything was calm. And then suddenly when they now left, everything was just changed rapidly. And after that, just got worse. It really got worse. If you do call the police, they never hear. They never come out. Very, very seldom that they will now send a van out. But otherwise they don't bother coming in here.
Lavender Hill is divided between 2 police stations. So if we speak about Lavender Hill, it's in sectors. We are in sector 4. And you have 2 officers, 1 police vehicle that has to protect all of these people. So you could maybe say 3/4 of the Lavendale Sector 4, it's protected by 2 individuals, 1 police van. Yes.
When will you ever be fully staffed as a policeman? You'd want as many policemen as possible. I think it's about being intelligent with the resources you've got and the deployment thereof. Saying that, however, you know, in our area specifically, the community is continually growing. We've got informal settlements and so forth, which makes it very difficult to police. But yeah, and I do think that more manpower will assist, but I don't think that we should use manpower as the excuse for everything. You know, the police is not going to solve gangsterism. We're not going to solve the social evils. We can be the buffer and be the arm of the law, but ultimately that arm only operates with the rest of the body, and the body has to be the community. We are actually, I would say, not going to achieve much success if we don't have the support of the community. And I say especially when it comes to gangsterism and so forth, because there is intimidation that occurs and so forth. So we need the community to have trust enough in the police to supply us with information, because these gangsters are part of the community, they stay there, and therefore it's only with that information that we can achieve success.
In our 20 years of democracy, some people are still very scared that the police is still the way that it was before. When you walk down the street and then you see some of the parents tell the children, "Daar's die boere, there's the police, I'm going to take you now to them, I'm going to take you to jail." And then for us, for me, I would tell them, look, don't do that. Say, for instance, that child was sexually assaulted or sexually abused, and the police come there. That child is not going to open up and say, look, this is the problem. That's why with social crime, we're trying to open up the child's mind, to have a bigger mindset, change their minds and say, look, the police is there to assist. We speak to the children in the schools, we tell them about gangsterism, talk about drugs, we're talking about changing your life. We take them on camps as well.
The idea of social crime and prevention violence is a good idea, but I don't think the government has really thought this whole process through in terms of the sustainability of it. It is a program that is run with no funds from the police side, under-resourced in terms of person power. There isn't a psychosocial support system, so you have a police officer that will go to school and educate the children about violence, but that person is not adequately trained to be able to sit the children down and speak to the children if they want to disclose or they want to report. In 2010, we had the World Cup. We had so many police officers protecting the citizens in downtown Cape Town. And the question I always ask is, where are all these police officers that they are not doing the foot patrols, they are not raiding the drug houses, they are not running the programs with the children at the flat? So if you want to speak about social crime, we should have police officers in this community every week in doing activities.
The community sometimes has got a great sense of apathy. We would have public meetings to address certain things, and you'd advertise it for 2 weeks, give out thousands of pamphlets, and then you get 20 people in attendance. It's that type of situation that we deal with where we struggle. So I think that the sense of community is not there yet. I don't think that the sense of ownership of one's community is not there yet. And once I think that's achieved by the community, it's going to make our job a lot easier.
We had a march in this Lavendale area where neighborhood watch guys just said enough is enough, because the plea came from the community. The Minister of Safety and Security was called in, and we had a meeting. We engaged them. We had a meeting with the Minister. We had a meeting with South African Police, and we engaged and we said, look, we're going to bring about a kind of change and a mindset. But you know what is the sad part is that our communities, when they put out the plea, they don't actually live up to it. They don't come forward and say, but I'm going to contribute.
It's very difficult. It's difficult when we come with a history of dominance. People were conditioned through violence during the apartheid years. That it is, for some people, it is just difficult to summon the courage to want to do something for their own because some people were conditioned to waiting on the government and waiting on handouts. And it's a condition that is difficult to unlearn people.
Here we've got like different committees, and they've been fighting all these years. So when a project needs to start on this informal settlement, it's always a problem. One councillor won't tell the other councillor what they busy doing, and people are so very much into what I can benefit. They will like gang up against the community. Our very own community gang up against the community. So at the end, when a project needs to come in, then there's two sides, two groups of people. And every time when something needs to happen here, these people are fighting. And our people has become so silent because they don't talk anymore. They just accept things as it is, because it doesn't even count if you raise your voice. So for me, if that can stop, then things will be better in the informal settlements.
I was directly threatened by these gangsters to say that they will burn my house. And that led to me going to confront the biggest drug lord and gangster in Lavender Hill a year ago. And I said, look, if you want to do this, go ahead and do this. But if you do this and I survive, I'm going to come back and I'm going to kill you. And because of that action, I have the respect of these gangsters where they do not intimidate my work, my staff, my volunteers, areas where I move, people that I see in terms of the organization that I run. Police Abafazi Betu, in Silawa Woman. We started the project in 2008 and provide a service for victims of domestic violence and sexual abuse, both women and children. Originally, we started off as a pure feminist organization, you know. We are fighting for the rights of women and girls. 4 years into the 6-year program, we realized that if we wanted to make an impact in really addressing violence, we need to work with young boys and young men. They are coming from homes which are violent. There's domestic violence in the home, but it's also homes where gang violence is. So they are children of gangsters. And for this, there are no facilities at the moment that caters for men and young boys. And with having said this, we then decided to run a boy-child program and also assist young men who are youth in getting their lives together.
Peter NGO runs an after-school program, and the gangster taking a kid from the street and making the kid belong to their program. At the after-school program, I do table with the kids. It's like a fitness then, but just implement parts of it. I teach that to the kids, make them feel active, listen to the music, let them feel at ease with themselves, like moving side to side and up and down. And when I do it, I see actually everybody participate and everybody do the same thing, so they feel comfortable with the person next to. They don't feel discomfort or they're making the move wrong or is this wrong. They just enjoy themselves, and for me, I like seeing it, that expression on the person's face. It is, I can see the change I'm bringing to those kids, and this light I'm bringing to them, the positivity that I carry over and what I get from them. Because with kids, you can, sometimes you have a down day. With my table, you never have a dull day. I always use like myself as an example. I stay in the community. There is gangsterism in the community. There is drug abuse in the community. There is all of this in the community. All those problems you face in the community. But I didn't go that road. I just made a decision to decide, Mahmoud, enough is enough. And I made at ease. I'm at ease with myself. I'm on the road to my brighter future and setting goals that I'm achieving. And through me, I show them.
It is already a year, and I think 2 months that I'm in this program. There's a lot of kids, 15, 14, they're smoking now, they're drinking now, they're throwing their lives away, they're getting pregnant, and some of them get HIV positive. And it helps me a lot to not do the same thing. There's also young children that are drugs. They don't really know what they are doing with their lives. For those young children, it's also the same, because when they grow bigger, they will understand what the program is really on about, what we're really doing, how we're going to change these children's life. And in this program, I would like to be here until I'm 18, because that's when I'm in matric, and when I'm done, then I'll maybe go study for a social worker.
Waar gaan we ze heel jaar rijden? Dat is waar. Nee, ons wil. Nee, aan mij gaat. Nee, ik heb nog een lippeltje petrol om aan te rijden. Ons kijk hoeveel kom aan te zijn.
When we get together, everybody's not actually in the same mood. Some is depressed, some is happy, some is just not there. But when we come together, everybody changes, because everybody communicates with one another and they listen to one another. And that is what is the best part of the seniors club that Lucinda actually brought us together with. So that we could actually meet other people which we never met before.
We're looking out for that day, then we come together as seniors and we do a lot of stuff there. We dance,
exercises.
We do exercises.
This piece here, the mosaic, it was a piece of hardboard that we did put some glue on, and we had these mosaic pieces that we had to fit on there and make our own design. Yesterday we polished it, and today we brought it home. A lovely piece, a nice piece.
For me, it was just an extra pair of hands that could help in the community. And when I get home at night, it wasn't about the money, and it wasn't about what I could gain out of it, but it was about to put a smile on someone's face, to wipe a tear off someone's eyes, to give a hug to someone that really needed it. We struggle as women in this community, but for me to reach out, it's even more worth than the struggle I got. And because of that, it makes me overcome my hurdle. I can overcome many things in my life because of helping others. And it's a great honor for me as a woman to do what I'm doing, because I can implement it in my household. I can teach my two daughters, because I also got women in my house. And they learn for what I've been through. They learn throughout it, and they're seeing these things. So they will become the new mothers, they will become the new wives, they will become the new maybe leaders in this community, and they will be aware of these things that is happening. So not even the crime or the bad things that is happening in this community will keep me back of reaching what I want to reach in life.